happening, everyone? How you doing? Yeah. Cool. So I'm going to do it a bit different tonight. I'm literally going to stand here in silence for 10 minutes and see who breaks first. No, I'm not. I'm going to talk about myself essentially, and how I've come to be stood here and how I've come to be in Wales. So it's a bit of a freestyle, to be honest. I haven't written anything down, so I'm just going to go for it. But before I do, lovely young lady come up to me outside while I was having a quick cigarette and said to me, "That first talk was really good, I wonder who's going on next." And I said, "It's me." So hopefully she hasn't set me up for a fail, she set me up for a win. So the clock's rolling, so I'll get on. So I'm going to start at the end of the story really, and why I'm here. So I work for a company called the Down to Earth Project. Has anyone heard of it? Yeah. So it's a sustainable construction company based around here and on the Gower. And we work with hard to reach groups from all different backgrounds. I predominantly work with 16 to 24-year-olds that come from all over the place and have quite challenging lives. And yeah, I'm now going to start at the beginning. So I was set up in life to fail, essentially. I failed in education, I'm severely dyslexic, and I was told I was going to fail in everything I did. Now, I listened to that, and unfortunately it happened. I failed. I failed all my exams and walked away from school with nothing. At the age of 16, I had the reading age of an 8-year-old. And when I left school, it haunted me for ages. I couldn't go and do anything I wanted to do in terms of further education because no one would take me. And I sort of, listened to that negative stuff. So what I did, like anyone else would do, I went and got a job, which was a good job. I worked hard, I got trades, I trained as a floor fitter. But what happened was I took a bit of a wrong path. So I got embroiled in sort of violence at quite an early age. And at 16, I was pretty much kicked to death in an alleyway in Portsmouth. I had my jaw broken, my cheekbone broken, missing teeth, and I was hospitalised. It was quite bad. What that did is it sparked off a trend of violence because I became quite scared, and the only thing I knew how to do was react. And from that time onwards, I reacted, and I reacted negatively. So anyone confronted me, I thought to myself, I'm never going to be laying on the floor with someone stamping on my face again, essentially. So it sparked this whole trail of violence off that made me a more violent person and made the situations I got in a more violent situation. Now that happened up until the age of about 23. And to make it worse, at the age of 20, I actually started working on the doors in Portsmouth as a nightclub bouncer. So the violence just increased, and it increased from fistfights to witnessing my friends, witnessing the general public being stabbed, being glassed, and I'm not ashamed to say it because it happened and it shaped me and made who I am. I was part of that and I contributed to it. Yeah. So it happened, it's inexcusable, but at the end of the day, it shaped me as a person. Now, at 23, I gave all of that up. 21 actually, sorry. I started to give all that up, but it still followed me for a couple of years. And I went back to college. I gave up full-time work. I'd recently just been arrested and got in trouble with the police, even though I was working. And I had to make a decision whether I carried on that way or I went a different way. So I did what most people thought I shouldn't do, including my family, is I gave up full-time work and I went back to college. And I actually paid to go and study what I wanted to study when I was 16, but never had the opportunity because I didn't have the qualifications. I studied outdoor education for 2 years, so adventure sports, the practicality of it and the theory of it. And what I came to realise is I was super passionate about it, and I'm actually a bit of a thrill seeker and an adrenaline junkie, although I don't really describe myself as an adrenaline junkie. But I was getting that through misadventure, and that misadventure was violence, booze, drugs. Yeah. So everything was starting to fall into place in my mind, why my past had been like it was, but I still didn't understand it. I still didn't have a clue. So basically, when I finished college, I went back out to work, but I was a 23, 24-year-old man that needed to earn money, and I couldn't go and work in the outdoor centres on a £60 a week wage. I had to rent bills to pay, like everyone else. So I went back into construction in a roundabout long way. And I ended up working in London for 5 years on the building sites, just doing my thing, heavy groundworks, heavy construction. And I enjoyed it, but I'd started to make connections with South Wales. And like any sort of good stories or connections, there was a woman involved, which there no longer is. But yeah, 5 years of working in London and travelling backwards and forwards to come here, and I jacked it in. I didn't know anyone but my ex-partner in Wales. I came down without a job and signed a 6-month lease agreement on a house the same day I moved down. And yeah, that was 5 years ago this summer. So at that time, me and my ex-partner were still together, and I didn't know the existence of Down to Earth, let alone what they did. Okay, so my ex-partner, to be fair to her, applied for that job while I was sleeping one night. Then I woke up the next morning and she said, "I've applied for a job, I don't know whether you like it." I said, "Oh, like, why have you done that?" Like, having a bit of a moan. And she said, "No, read it, read the job description." So I did. And it went, bang, that light bulb moment in your head where you're like, whoa, everything that has happened in my life has led me to here. And at that point, I still didn't understand the full value of what had happened to me and the things I'd experienced. But pretty much the job description was, can you build? Have you worked with hard to reach groups? And do you have an outdoor adventure background? I was like, yeah, I do. I'd never seen how those three things could fit together. I just thought they were things that I'd done that I was never going to be able to do again or properly or make into one thing. Now, like I said, that was roughly 5 years ago, and I'm still there. I'm still at Down to Earth, and I love it. I can't get enough of it, and I want to stay. And what I've fully come to understand is it was meant to be. And the reason it was meant to be, and the reason I'm so passionate about it, and passionate about working with these hard to reach groups, is because I was one. Mm-hmm. I was one of those young people that was in trouble. I was one of those young people that had a hectic life. I was one of those young people that was going off the rails, and luckily I managed to pull it back, and now I feel I have a responsibility to be a positive role model, to be a role model to say, yeah, things are shit and life does happen and things are going to trip you up, people are going to trip you up, people are essentially pricks quite a lot of the time. Yeah, and they're going to get in your face and they're going to antagonise you. Yeah, and when they say, "Oh, what do you know?" Yeah, I say, I know. Yeah, and it's not because I've learned it in a book, it's because I know. And it was meant to happen, and I don't really have any better way of explaining it than everything that happened to me in my life that I had no clue or no idea at the time what it was for or how it was going to shape me as a person was meant to lead to this outcome. Now, I don't just believe that's it forever, because I'm still youngish, And I have a lot more experiences that are going to happen to me in life. And they are going to shape me. They are going to shape me as a person. And they are going to keep forming me. But all I do know is that I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to embrace the ups and the downs. And I'm going to do it with a smile. And just keep going forward. And I want to leave you with one thing. Yeah? I do like my inspirational quotes. It's got me through some quite tough times. But one of the ones I like, and let me try and get it right, okay, is you can never fully appreciate the sunshine if you haven't ever stood in the rain. Yeah? So to me, that basically means take the ups or the downs, and enjoy the downs just as much as you enjoy the ups, yeah? Because there's something to be gained out of it. There's always something positive to happen. So, thank you.